The fewer variables, the greater the control. For a decade and more, Nintendo confined players to 2 dimensions, inside which they could only act as Nintendo willed them to act. Reality for their mascot character Mario consisted of little more than left and right. But what if he were let loose from this 2-dimensional prison and set free in a world where all directions were possible? Could he endure the transition? And how could Nintendo maintain their dominion over players' lives in this new world of such boundless, freedom? Nintendo endeavored to answer this question with its Nintendo 64, a device that forced mortals to face the dizzying potentiality of the 3rd dimension. It was not simply a new gadget, but a new reality, and included with this device, Super Mario 64. A terrifying journey into...
Just a small point, it wasn't included. You had to buy all the games separately.
So, purchasing the console itself was completely useless unless one also purchased the game? Making the advertised price an utter lie! What brilliant manipulation! And it was only the beginning. Super Mario 64 would soon teach players that no mortal cries out in greater anguish than the one who has been set utterly and irrevocably free. Mario jumps out of 2 dimensions and into a wide, verdant field where he is free to run, to climb, to swim, to leap in any direction he pleases. How light he feels, how utterly limitless in potential. The stifling weight of his old 2-dimensional world is gone forever, and with it, the dead weight of his feckless brother, Luigi. His fraternal burden cast aside, Mario races to Princess Peach's castle, lured with the promise of cake. But before he can enter, he is interrupted by a cloud-conquering Lakitu brother bearing a camera. When the airborne Testadine offers to film Mario's journey, the gullible plumber accepts, little understanding he has just empowered a foe far more malignant than any he dared face in 2 dimensions. For while all directions are open to him, only the camera determines what he sees and what he does not. Inside the castle, Mario learns he shall receive no cake at all. Princess Peach and all of her leal retainers have been imprisoned within the walls of the castle by the dread Dragon Prince Bowser. To trap a soul eternally within the walls of a castle is a fine punishment, from which there should be no escape. What was the name of that sorceress whose soul I cleaved into 17 disparate lesser spirits and imprisoned within the castle walls?
Valeria Lux Ferrator. But please remember, this is supposed to be a fun video game review. Let's focus on Mario 64.
That is precisely what I am doing. This is a relevant personal anecdote. The game is principally about imprisoning the souls of one's enemies within the walls of one's castle. I have the souls of my enemies imprisoned within the walls of my castle, therefore...
the algorithm doesn't really like discussing soul splintering.
You're always saying I need to appear more relatable to my vacuous mortal followers, and yet when I say something to relate to my vacuous mortal followers, suddenly it is a cause for concern.
Why don't you talk about the controls?
To control Mario requires the use of an innovative analog joystick, which permits... The point I was making is that when I cleave the souls of my enemies into 17 disparate lesser spirits and imprison them within the walls of my castle, I leave no avenue for their eventual escape. How long has Valorous Luxator been imprisoned?
Valeria Lux Ferrator. And 1100 years?
1100 is impossible.
Why? I'm almost sure it was during the
Because
Summoning
we
War.
installed the back stairway to the Chamber of the Mouthless Screams 1100 years ago, and these soul fragments were already here.
Oh,
Remember, we had to move them all into storage until the
Right.
contractor
the
left.
renovation.
Right.
Right. So
1300 years of security. Precisely. And yet Bowser leaves the magical power star that can undo his machinations so easily accessible, even Luigi could retrieve it. The star is hidden within a living painting, true, but behind an unlocked door. By slaying the king within, Mario claims the star, which can unlock other doors, leading to more stars, unlocking more doors, until Bowser's ambitions have turned to ash in his mouth. Had the Koopa King taken the time to install even a manual lock, Princess Peach and her serfs would be lost within the walls of the castle for all eternity.
That's not the lock to the warg kennels, is it? Because mortals know what a lock looks like. There's no need for a visual aid.
It is an unrelated lock.
Fine, but you're focusing too much on the souls.
Perhaps it was Bowser's intention to use the relative simplicity of the first living paintings to lull Mario into a false sense of security. At first, he does appear to have been set free of all the limits that once constrained him. While in the past, Mario could only destroy his enemies by leaping into the air and then crushing them underfoot. Now he attacks with a series of punches and kicks, leaps and stomps, leaving the choice of which attack to employ up to him. He has grown tougher as well. Enemies can no longer end him with a single touch, but all too often this newfound durability does little more than prolong his suffering. Fortunately, should he become overwhelmed with the challenges of one living painting, he is free to choose another, free to seek the power stars in any order, solving a series of puzzles and torturing a series of animals, free from any predetermined path ordained by Nintendo. Freedoms pile upon freedoms, even as the living paintings grow more sinister. Where Bob-omb Battlefield rests on stable, certain ground, later living paintings are often nightmares of non-Euclidean design, suspended over an endless abyss. Others take Mario to a festering charnel house filled with the spirits of the damned, or an abandoned city forever cut off from the world of the living by the stagnant waters of a forgotten lake. Tasks that were simple in 2 dimensions become nightmare ordeals. Mario's traditional signposts, up, down, left, right, cake, all abandon him. By the end, all certainty is gone, and Mario finds himself suspended over a bottomless sky and trapped within a gargantuan clock. By the point he reaches this fiendish timepiece, Mario at last begins to understand what it is to be truly free. And like the mortal who spends the first 18 years of life in search of freedom, then the next 60 desperately longing for the security of childhood, Mario can now think only of going back. So he frantically wrestles with the camera, now seeking not freedom, but to chain his view as much as possible to the 2 dimensions he once rejected. If he could just turn the camera the right way, all would be as it was, and these 3-dimensional trials forgotten. But the Lakitu brothers only watch and smile. How, as he plummets again and again into the unknowable heart of the infinite clock, he must curse the day Nintendo set him free.
Well, it was one of the first big 3D games, so it just takes some time to adjust.
Suppose he does adjust. Suppose Mario defeats Bowser, obtains all 120 power stars, and frees the princess's shattered soul from its prison within the castle walls. What then is his reward?
The cake she promised him?
Oh yes, cake. That great motivator pushing Mario ever onward through countless torments. But now that Princess Peach offers it, he hesitates to follow. He looks back at the player, lost, forever changed. How can he now enjoy cake? Or any of the pleasures of his two-dimensional past? He has seen too much, experienced too many horrors. His old life has been proven a lie, a tiny sliver of a greater truth. But the new truth offers no comfort, only fear and uncertainty. This new dimension proves too much even for Mario's stalwart saurian companion Yoshi to bear. Super Mario 64 serves as a cautionary tale for all mortals in search of freedom, that a door opened can never again be closed, so they would do well to be certain they wish to live on the other side. Far better to be like Valerie Lacksplitter, who now no longer searches for anything at all.
If mortals are feeling confused or overwhelmed by all of the changing realities in their own lives, they could subscribe to this channel for fun, lighthearted video game reviews, right?
If they are feeling overwhelmed, I will relieve them by cleaving their souls into 17 disparate lesser spirits and imprisoning them within the walls of this castle, thus saving them from the burden of freedom forever.
Or they could subscribe.
Or they could what?